I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here writing this all down, but here I am. My name's Mike and I'm 38. I've been with my wife Lisa for about 10 years now. We got married pretty young, right out of college, and everything seemed fine, at least from the outside. She was the kind of girl who always made you think she was perfect. Beautiful, sharp-tongued, a little bitchy but charming enough to get away with it. I loved her, or at least I thought I did. We had our routines, and honestly, I thought we were solid. But in the last 6 months, something changed. It started with little things. She'd get home later than usual, her phone kept buzzing in her purse, and she started being more dismissive when I asked how her day was. She'd brush me off or give some lame excuse about work stress. At first, I shrugged it off. People have bad days, right? But then I noticed her phone more often, and she got strangely secretive about it. Hidden replies, quick texts, deleting messages right in front of my eyes. Still, I convinced myself she was just stressed or maybe having an affair. With a coworker, I didn't want to believe it, but deep down I knew. It all came crashing down last Tuesday. I was home early because I had a sore back and decided to rest. I was scrolling through my phone when I noticed she'd left her iPad open on the kitchen table. Normally, she'd clear her browsing history or close everything, but this time I saw a message preview on the screen. It was from someone named Vet Friend, and the message read, "Can't wait to see you tonight. Been thinking about last time." My heart stopped. I didn't need to read more, I knew what that meant. My wife, Lisa, cheating on me with our family's veterinarian, Dr. Roberts. I felt a wave of nausea and anger that hit me so hard I almost dropped the tablet. It was surreal. How long had this been going on? Was it just one time, or was it happening for months? I couldn't believe that she, my wife of 10 years, was screwing around with a guy who's supposed to be trusted with our pets' lives, and by extension, our family. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the sheer stupidity of it. All she's bitchy, manipulative, and always got some excuse ready. I knew she'd lie her way out, deny everything, or turn it around on me. The first thing I did was go straight to the security cameras. Our house has these little cameras around the front and back, mostly for security. I checked the footage from last week, and there it was. Lisa sneaking out late at night, going into the vet's clinic. I saw her entering the clinic after hours, obviously meeting with him. The footage even caught them in the examination rooms after closing hours. They weren't just talking, they were doing it in a way that was unmistakable. I saw her sitting on that cold, sterile table, her legs crossed, her head thrown back. And the vet, Dr. Roberts, leaning over her, whispering things I can only imagine. It was like watching some horrible movie unfold in real life. The sickening part was how calm I felt at first, almost numb. I couldn't believe I was seeing the woman I loved, the woman I trusted with everything, betraying me so openly. I kept replaying the footage over and over, trying to get a grip. It was like a punch in the gut every time I watched her lips part, her face twist in pleasure. I'd never felt so humiliated, so betrayed in my life. I kept thinking, how could she do this? How could she lie to me for so long? Was I just some fool who believed she was perfect? Or was I too blind to see the signs? When she finally came home that night, I was waiting in the living room. She walked in, acting like she'd been at some late-night meeting with friends, her usual bitchy smirk plastered on her face. I looked her straight in the eyes and told her I knew. I showed her the footage, the messages, everything I found. Her face froze for a second, then the typical lies started pouring out. "It's not what you think," she snapped. "It was just sex, a one-time thing, I swear. It meant nothing." She tried to dismiss it like she was entitled to cheat and lie, and I felt that rage boiling up inside me. I've never been this angry in my life. My gut told me I had to do something, but I was also hurt, beyond words. How could she say it was just sex? Like that makes it okay. I thought about all the years we spent together, all the promises we made, and I realized she'd been fooling me all along. She's manipulative, selfish, and clearly willing to screw anyone who will give her attention. And now I had this huge decision to make. I knew I couldn't just let it slide. I couldn't trust her again after what I saw, but I also felt so lost and betrayed. I didn't know what to do next. All I knew was that I wasn't going to let her get away with this without consequences. The betrayal cut deep, and I was starting to realize that I'd have to plan my revenge carefully or I'd just end up miserable. So here I am, trying to figure out the next move, and honestly, I'm still furious, hurt, and pretty damn confused about what the hell I'm supposed to do from here. After that night, everything changed. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. My mind kept circling around the footage, her lies, the way she dismissed everything like it was nothing. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck, but somehow that shock turned into cold, simmering rage. I knew I had to do something, something she didn't expect, something that would make her regret ever crossing that line. But I also knew I had to be smart. Revenge wouldn't help if I just burst out in anger or did something reckless. The first step was gathering more evidence, just to make sure I wasn't jumping the gun. I installed a few more cameras around the house, especially near the back entrance, just to confirm what I already suspected, that she was sneaking out at night, probably to meet him. I also decided to check the vet's clinic more closely. I called my friend Derek, who works as a security analyst, and asked for his advice. I told him I suspected something, and I needed proof. He told me to focus on the clinic's security footage, and that he'd help me get access if I needed it. Over the next few days, I watched those clips like a hawk. Sure enough, late at night, Lisa was slipping out, and the footage at the clinic showed her going into the examination rooms after hours. I saw her in the same outfit, sneaking past the reception, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. It was all there, the secret meetings, the quiet, sneaky encounters. I also found out she'd been taking her phone with her, deleting messages afterward, probably trying to cover her tracks. The more I saw, the more I felt like I was losing my mind. How did I not see this coming? How could she betray me so badly? What pissed me off even more was her constant lying. That bitch never owned up. Every time I confronted her, she'd throw a fit, call me paranoid, or accuse me of overreacting. She'd say, "You're crazy, Mike. You're just jealous. This doesn't mean anything." Yeah, sure, a few drinks and a quick screw in a sterile exam room doesn't mean anything, right? I'd never been so furious. It was like she was trying to turn me into the crazy one, the jealous husband who just needs to get over it. But I knew better now. I had the proof, and I wasn't going to let her lie her way out of this. I started planning my next move. I knew I had to confront her again, but I also wanted to catch her in the act if I could. I decided to set a trap. I told her I was going out with some friends on Saturday night, but I actually stayed home, watching the cameras from the living room. I wanted her to think she was free to do whatever she pleased. Meanwhile, I was ready for her. I also contacted the clinic's security system provider, and they helped me set up a way to record everything going on there legally, if they even realized I was watching. Saturday night came, and I was tense. I sat on the couch, phone in hand, watching the feed. Sure enough, around 10 p.m. she slipped out again, this time more hurried. I saw her get into her car, driving straight to the clinic. I kept the camera on, and about 15 minutes later I saw her and Dr. Roberts walking into the back entrance. My stomach clenched. This was it. I had the evidence. I wasn't just going to confront her with words. I wanted her to know I knew everything. I waited till she was inside, then called her phone. It rang a few times before she picked up. I heard her voice, tense, trying to sound casual. I told her I knew what she was doing, that I had the footage, and I wasn't going to let her humiliate me anymore. Her voice shrieked, "You're crazy, Mike. You're just jealous and paranoid. This is none of your business, and I can do whatever I want." I told her she could deny it all she wanted, but I had the proof. Then she went silent for a long moment. She started crying, but it was that fake kind of crying, like she was putting on a show. "You're overreacting." "I love you," she said, but her voice cracked, betraying her lie. I could hear her trying to lie her way out, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I told her I'd be waiting for her when she got home, and I'd be expecting a real answer. That's when she hung up on me, furious, yelling that I was crazy and that I was ruining everything. I felt a strange mixture of relief and despair. I had the evidence, but I also knew this was just the beginning. My mind raced with thoughts of what to do next. Do I keep her in the dark and gather more? Do I confront her again? Do I just pack her stuff and kick her out? Every option seemed worse than the last, but one thing was clear: she was caught, and there was no denying it anymore. She'd been screwing around with our vet in our house behind my back, and I wasn't going to let her walk all over me anymore. The drive home that night was a blur. I remember gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. My mind was a storm of emotions: anger, betrayal, heartbreak, and a strange sense of clarity. I knew I'd caught her red-handed now, no way she could wiggle out of this one. But what I didn't know was how I was going to handle the aftermath. Part of me wanted to explode, to confront her with everything right then and there, but I also realized I needed a plan. I had to be smart about this. I couldn't just lose my shit, not yet. Not until I knew exactly what I was dealing with. When I got home, I stayed quiet, my mind racing. The house was dark, quiet, the kind of silence that makes you feel like the walls are closing in. I sat on the sofa, staring at my phone, staring at the footage I'd saved. I replayed everything in my head, trying to figure out what I wanted to say or do. I wanted her to feel the weight of what she'd done. I wanted her to see that I wasn't some naive idiot who could be played like a fool anymore. But I also knew that whatever I did, I had to be careful. She was manipulative, and I'd seen her lie her way out of worse. So I waited, and I kept watching the footage. The more I saw, the more certain I was that I needed to confront her again, this time with everything laid out on the table. I decided I'd do it in the morning after I'd cooled down a bit. Sleep was impossible, though. My mind kept circling around the same thoughts. How deep did this go? Was it just the vet, or were there other guys involved? How much of my life had I wasted believing she was loyal? These questions felt like knives twisting inside me. In the middle of that restless night, I also started thinking about revenge. Not some childish shouting match, but a way to make her really understand what she'd lost. I wasn't just going to kick her out or threaten her. I wanted her to feel the pain I was feeling, maybe even a little more. That's when I remembered some of the stories I'd heard from friends about exposing affairs, especially ones involving trusted professionals. I knew I had to be careful because I didn't want to end up looking like the crazy husband who lost everything. I had to get her to admit, to confess in her own words, that she'd been screwing around with Dr. Roberts. The next morning I woke up early, still furious but with a plan in mind. I called her into the kitchen, told her I knew everything and that I'd seen the footage. She tried her usual tricks: denial, insults, shifting blame, but I cut her off. I told her I wasn't interested in her excuses anymore. I laid everything out: the messages, the footage, the late-night visits. Her face turned pale, then red with rage. She started yelling, calling me paranoid, accusing me of spying, of invading her privacy. She told me I was crazy and that she'd never do something like this, even as her voice cracked and her eyes darted around, trying to find a way out. That's when I decided enough was enough. I told her I was done playing her game. I told her I wanted a divorce and that I was going to make sure everyone, including our friends and family, knew what she was capable of. I knew I had to act fast. The last thing I wanted was for her to spin some story and make me look like the crazy one. I needed to hit her where it hurt: her pride, her reputation, her ability to lie her way out of it. I spent the rest of the day gathering everything I could. I went online and found a way to leak some of the footage anonymously, just enough to make her look bad but not so much that I'd ruin everything outright. I wanted her to feel the shame, the humiliation, the loss of control. I also contacted a lawyer just to understand my options in terms of divorce and custody. I didn't want to rush, but I knew I couldn't let her manipulate her way out of this again. Throughout the day, she kept trying to deny everything, throwing tantrums, saying I was ruining her life, that I was insane. But I saw through her. She was desperate now, her bitchy mask cracking at the edges. I could tell she was starting to realize that I wasn't going to be the naive husband anymore, that I had proof and I was ready to use it. The funny thing is, I never thought I'd be here, planning revenge, exposing my wife's affairs, feeling like a damn fool for trusting her. But the truth is, I'm more pissed than anything else. More than hurt, more than betrayed. I'm furious that she thought she could get away with it. Now I'm just waiting to see what happens next. I know she's going to try to spin this, to deny it, to blame me, but I'm done playing her game. She can lie, she can cry, she can scream. None of it will change the fact that I saw her in those exam rooms, caught red-handed. And I swear, once this is all out in the open, she'll regret ever messing with the vet and with me. The fallout happened faster than I expected. After I leaked some of the footage online under a fake account, the reactions came pouring in within hours. Friends, family, even colleagues started messaging me, some supportive, many furious at her, all questioning her integrity now. I could see the shock and disbelief on their faces reading the stories, seeing the images. I wasn't proud of some of the things I posted, but honestly, at that point I didn't care. I wanted everyone to see her true colors, especially her boss at the clinic, Dr. Roberts, who was suddenly getting calls from clients, staff, and even a few local news reporters. The clinic's reputation was sinking fast, and Lisa's manipulations were unraveling just as I'd hoped. She tried to deny everything outright. That bitch went ballistic when she saw what I'd done. She screamed at me, called me every name in the book, said I was crazy, obsessive, a jealous maniac. She even tried to guilt-trip me, saying I was ruining her career and our family. That she'd do anything to fix this if I just gave her a chance. But I wasn't buying it. I was done with her lies. The footage proved everything, and I knew I had to keep pushing, keep her cornered. That same night she started crying, claiming she made a mistake. She said it was a one-time thing, just a moment of weakness, and that she loved me. I looked at her, her bitchy, manipulative face, and felt nothing but disgust. She had lied so much I doubted everything she said. I knew she was trying to manipulate me again, spin some sob story to make me feel guilty to stay. But I'd had enough of her bullshit. I decided it was time to confront her directly. No more hiding, no more sneaking around. I told her she could stay in the house for now, but I was calling a lawyer the next day. I wanted to get everything in motion. I also told her that I'd be talking to a private investigator to see if there was more she was hiding. I didn't trust her anymore, not even a little. That's when she snapped. She started yelling at me, saying I was ruining her life, that I was overreacting, and that I was just jealous because she was more successful than me. Yeah, right. That's classic Lisa, blame everyone else for her mistakes. The next morning I woke up with a clear plan. I knew I had to handle her carefully. I sat her down and told her I was done with her games. I told her she's done lying to me and that I want a divorce. I also told her I'd be taking steps to protect myself financially and legally. I didn't want her to spin this into a victim story. She tried to argue, to threaten me, but I cut her off. I said, "Look, Lisa, I've seen everything. The footage, the texts, you're sneaking out. You've crossed every line. I want out, and I'll make sure everyone knows what a liar and cheater you are." That's when she got really ugly. She started crying again, but this time it was genuine tears, or so it seemed. She begged me to reconsider, saying she'd do anything to fix it, that she loved me, that she'd go to counseling, that she'd stop seeing him, that she'd be different. I didn't buy any of it. I told her that I needed some time away from her, that I couldn't even look at her right now without feeling sick. I packed a bag and told her I'd stay at a hotel for a few days. I needed space to think clearly and to plan my next steps. As I left the house that morning, I felt a strange sense of relief mixed with a heavy weight of sadness. I kept replaying everything: her lies, the secret meetings, how she manipulated everyone around her. I realized I'd been blind for too long, that the person I loved had turned into someone entirely different. I was angry at myself for trusting her so much, for believing she was the person I married. But more than anything, I was furious at her for betraying me in such a disgusting, calculated way. Now I sit here, a few days later, still trying to process it all. I've spoken to a lawyer, started the divorce process, and have a few more tricks up my sleeve to make sure she doesn't spin some sob story to save herself. I know she's likely trying to manipulate the situation, maybe even trying to talk her way back into my good graces, but I'm not falling for it. I've learned that some people are just selfish and manipulative, and I'll be damned if I let her ruin me further. What's clear is that I'll never trust her the same way again, and I don't think I want to. The pain of betrayal cuts deep, but it's also opened my eyes to how much I was willing to ignore for the sake of keeping the peace. Well, peace is overrated when it's built on lies. Since I left the house, I've been trying to piece everything together: what I lost, what I gained, and what I need to do next. The truth is, I'm still hurt. More than hurt, I feel betrayed at the core. For 10 years, I believed in her, in us. We built a life, or so I thought. Turns out she was just playing a long game, lying, sneaking around, screwing the vet behind my back in our own home. It's hard to shake that feeling, like I woke up one day and realized I was living with a stranger. What's worse is the way she's been spinning her lies. She's trying to make herself look like the victim now, crying crocodile tears, claiming she's sorry, saying she didn't mean for it to turn into this chaos. That's classic Lisa. She's always been manipulative, good at twisting things around. She's bitchy too. When I confronted her, she threw tantrums, called me paranoid and jealous like I was the one doing something wrong. She's always been a master at denial, at acting innocent when she's clearly not. Now she's trying to act like she's the one suffering, like I'm the villain for exposing her. I've had enough of her lies. I finally saw through her bullshit. I told her I wasn't interested in hearing her excuses. I told her I was filing for divorce, and I meant it. The thing is, I don't want her to spin some sob story to friends or family. She's good at that. I've already leaked enough of the footage, enough proof to make sure everyone knows what she's really like. I want her to face the consequences of her actions, not just with me, but with everyone she's manipulated. I also reached out to a private investigator, just to be sure there's nothing else she's hiding. I don't trust her word anymore. What if she's already got plans for another guy? Or maybe she's trying to cover her tracks even more. I need to be prepared. It's not about revenge anymore, it's about protecting myself and making sure I don't get played again. The hardest part is dealing with the emotional fallout. I feel a mix of numbness and anger. I can't believe I spent so much time trusting her, believing she was loyal. Turns out she's been lying, cheating, and manipulating all along. I feel like a fool, but a fool who's finally waking up. At the end of the day, I know I have to pick myself up. I have to rebuild my life without her bitchy attitude, her lies, her betrayal. Some nights I lie awake thinking about what I should do next. Do I try to fight for the marriage, or do I cut ties completely? Honestly, I don't think I can trust her anymore, no matter what she says or promises. Once you see someone in that light, screwing your family vet in your own house, you can't go back. The damage is done. I've learned that people like her are good at hiding their true selves, but I refuse to be blind again. I want to move on, even if it hurts, and I want to do it on my terms. I don't want her to win or to drag me down with her. That's what's fueling my decision now to take control and walk away with my dignity intact. Now I'm just trying to focus on myself. I've started hitting the gym again, trying to clear my head. I've been talking to friends, getting advice, and slowly I'm accepting that this chapter is over. I know the pain won't fade overnight, but I also know I can't keep living in this betrayal. I have to look forward. I have to rebuild my trust, not in her, but in myself. And honestly, I just want to forget her. Forget what she did, forget her bitchy smirk, her lies, her betrayal in the sterile exam rooms. But the scars will stay, and maybe they'll serve as a reminder, never to ignore the signs again, never to trust blindly again. I guess the biggest lesson I've learned through all this is that some people are just selfish, manipulative, and willing to sabotage everything good for their own pleasure. I don't regret exposing her. I regret trusting her for so long. But I also realize I deserve better. I deserve someone who respects me, who's honest, who doesn't cheat in our own home, in our bed, and I won't settle for less anymore. Moving forward, I plan to focus on myself, make sure I stay strong, and never let someone like her hurt me that way again. It's not about revenge anymore, it's about reclaiming my life and my peace of mind. Now, as I sit here reflecting on everything, I realize how much this experience has changed me. I used to believe in happily ever after. I thought marriage was about trust, loyalty, and partnership. Turns out I was blind. Lisa showed me that some people are just good at hiding their true nature until they think no one's looking. I've learned not to ignore the red flags, not to dismiss the gut feelings, and definitely not to assume that people are who they appear to be on the surface. The biggest lesson, though, is about self-respect. I've come to understand that letting someone betray you and stay silent only fuels their arrogance. Confronting her, exposing her, and walking away with my dignity intact has been the hardest thing I've ever done. It's also the most freeing. I don't think I'll ever fully forget what happened, but I know I'll move past it. I'll rebuild my life slowly but surely. I've already started that process, seeing a therapist, focusing on my career, reconnecting with friends. I want to remind myself that I am more than the betrayal of one dishonest, manipulative woman. To anyone out there going through something similar, trust your instincts. Don't ignore the signs. If someone like Lisa can hide her true self for so long, imagine what others might be hiding from you. Be vigilant, be honest with yourself, and don't let guilt or fear keep you from doing what's right. Sometimes, the only way to truly move forward is to face the pain head-on and accept that certain people are just not worth your time or trust. As I close this chapter, I feel a strange sense of closure. I know I'll be okay. Better than okay, maybe. I'll learn to forgive myself for not seeing it sooner and for staying longer than I should have. I'll learn to trust again, but more carefully this time. I'll remember what I've lost, but also what I've gained: clarity, strength, and the knowledge that I deserve honesty and loyalty. So here's my final takeaway. Don't ignore the signs. Don't let someone's bitchy attitude or manipulative words fool you. And above all, never forget that your self-worth is not defined by how someone else treats you. I lost a lot in this process, but I gained something invaluable, myself. And I'll never let anyone take that away from me again.